Welcome back, everyone. My name is Michelle, and this is Horror Book Hell Hound. So today we're just doing a quick little book review of, obviously, Near the Bone by Christina Henry. First of all, check out this cover. Pretty spoochy. You gotta love the extent of isolation horror that a creepy cabin in a snowy, wooded mountainside conveys. If you've been following my other channel or have known me for any amount of time, then you know good and well that one of my favorite types of horror is isolation horror. And this book, Christina Henry, you got me some isolation horror for sure. Before I dive headlong into a full review of this book, let me go ahead and read the back of this book for you so you can kind of get like a quick synopsis of what all is going on in this story. So the little blurb at the top says, a woman trapped on a mountain attempts to survive more than one kind of monster in a dread-inducing horror novel from the national best-selling author Christina Henry. Maddie can't remember a time before she and William lived alone on a mountain together. She must never make him upset. But when Maddie discovers the mutilated body of a fox in the woods, she realizes that they're not alone after all. There's something in the woods that wasn't there before. Something that makes strange cries in the night. Something with sharp teeth and claws. When three strangers appear on the mountaintop looking for the creature in the woods, Maddie knows their presence will anger William. Terrible things happen when William is angry. So, as you might go ahead and guess from the blurb, there is definitely some trigger warnings for emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, right? So I'm not going to do any like major spoilers of how Maddie came to be in the company of William or anything like that. But needless to say, she is in a very abusive household. She is cut off from the entire world. She is basically held hostage in this remote cabin on the side of a mountain. So she is in the forest. The way William has her in this forest is very old world, right? It's very almost Amish by today's standards, where you go out and hunt, the woman stays home and sews and knits and tends the hearth, however the fuck you say it. Anyway, so William is crazy. He is the human type of monster to a T. Abusive, manipulative, narcissistic, just an all-around piece of shit human being who deserves everything he gets, by the way. Oh wait, that might be a spoiler. Oops. The part of this book that I almost didn't quite understand was the creature feature part. I've heard other booktubers review this book and they talk about how the creature's never really featured and how like it's just this minimal character in the story. But honestly, when I read it, like there's not many scenes where the creature is not mentioned or seen or experienced. So I don't really know where that comes into play. It is interesting to see the juxtaposition of like a legitimate monster versus the human kind of monster that we've all grown accustomed to in today's modern age. Maddie's character is interesting. Now, I'm not even gonna split hairs with you on this one. There's gonna be times where you get so annoyed at her victim mindset that you just want to shake her. Because in a lot of ways, she does continue to allow abuse to continue to happen to her. But coming from a psychological / mental health background, I completely understand where that comes from. Not to mention, I've been in abusive relationships before. It is very easy to get sucked down into that abyss and just not believe that you can crawl out of it again. You know, like, and in this situation, it began when she was a child. It began at a very young age. So it's all she's ever known. She doesn't understand or really comprehend that there is a better way of life. But when the three strangers show up, their characters kind of serve as this lifeline. They kind of remind her of the little glimpses of life that she had before William. Honestly, I feel so bad for the strangers. They're basically just, you know, college students who get a kick out of cryptozoology. They're on a little adventure because of the sightings of the monster on the mountain, and horrible, horrible things happen to them. So maybe I'm gonna rethink the whole cryptozoology travel adventures I have set for myself. All in all, the most exciting piece of this book is simply seeing the evolution of Maddie's character. She goes from this meek, mild weakling, not able to defend herself, not willing to, with no spark of just independence at all, to this woman who is fighting for survival and honestly more terrified of William than the monster who's practically gutting everyone and hanging them up in the trees, right? So, and that's not really a spoiler. That happens pretty early on in the book. So just know that this is not a feel-good book. It does end relatively good in my opinion, but just seeing Maddie's transformation. She has a whole lot of inner monologue. I'm going to prepare you for that right now. She has a lot of inner monologue where she's kind of talking to herself and trying to figure out how far she can go, how far she can push herself as an independent woman. Is she willing to let go of this abusive, awful life that she's lived with William? And you come into this picture with her and William at that moment where she's just had enough. And everybody has a different length of time before they snap. So for her situation, it's decades. Well, maybe like a decade. It's been over a decade for Maddie of dealing with this shit. And she's finally at that point where it's like, you know what? I have to get the fuck out of this situation. It's like an awakening. And it's beautiful to watch. It is very beautiful to watch because she goes from this weak-willed individual, you know, to someone who is willing to fight, who is willing to face the elements, who is willing to protect these other people as much as she can. You know, there's only so much you can do against some possibly supernatural creature who's out there moving faster than you can even see and all this other bullshit. So, yeah, there is some very good creature feature moments in this book. You never really get a full disclosure and an idea of what exactly this creature is. They make a couple of comments where they distinguish it from a Sasquatch and from a Bigfoot. So we're thinking it's something else. We're thinking it's not just an angry Bigfoot here. There's something more to this. And honestly, this book kept me going. Like, it kept me going. I wanted to see Maddie transform. This is more of a character development piece than an all-out horror novel. Like, don't get me wrong, there's moments of pure horror in this book. There are moments that absolutely chilled me to my core, more so from the abuse side though. So like, if physical, emotional, sexual abuse is a really bad trigger for you and you do not want to read that. Now, as far as the sexual abuse goes, it's not super, what's the word? The sexual abuse in this book is not super blunt and in your face. It is more so implied. You know, there's not like pages and pages of detailed abuse, all right? So like, if that is one of your main triggers that you can't handle, just know that this book doesn't go into very gory detail, but it is implied. It does go into some pretty gory detail about the physical abuse and the beatings that Maddie suffers at the hands of William. But all in all, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. There's not anything particular, like as far as grammatical errors and stuff like that, that's preventing it from being 5. It's just that it just felt like, for me personally, there was just something missing to kind of push it over that edge and make it just feel like awe-inspiring. Now, there are moments in this book that almost brought me to tears for sure. There are moments of this book that made me just like, fuck yeah, you know, like just yay. But there was just a little something lacking in this book that didn't push it to that 5. But I definitely enjoyed it. I will definitely most likely reread this book at some point. It's a really good book to read in the winter. You definitely get that sense of the quietness, the stillness of winter and the snowfall and the isolation and just the cold. I really like that. So this would definitely be a really good winter read. If you haven't read it already, save it for the winter. Save it for those dark, dreary winter nights, because this is a winner for that. Definitely. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope I didn't spoil too much of the story. I definitely think it's worth a read. I would definitely recommend it to just anyone, really. I do feel that it is in the horror category, but like I said, it does kind of focus more on the man-made side of horror a little more than the creature feature, but I feel like there is a pretty even balance. I don't think that it completely forgets about the creature feature aspect. So I enjoyed it a lot. I'm always down for some cryptozoology put into my horror novel. Always. But that's pretty much it, you guys. What do you guys think of this book? Have you read it? If so, what did you rate it? How did you feel about it? Please don't put any spoilers in the comments, but if you have any thoughts on it and how you felt about the book, go ahead and put those down below. Have you read anything else by Christina Henry? I think I have like 2 other books back here. Yes, The Girl in Red and Horsemen that I have not read yet. And I've heard some really good things about Horsemen. So I do plan on reading those pretty soon. I might save Horsemen for the Halloween season though. It just seems like it would fit better there. But other than that, if you've made it this far in the video, be sure to put some kind of spooky emoji down in the bottom. Leave me a little ghost emoji down in the comments just to let me know that you actually made it this far. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button because it helps your girl out. Share the video if you feel like it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Duh. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, Hell Hounds.